Coming up, the battle to vaccinate Pennsylvanians as COVID cases in our state hit a milestone. We're live at a vaccine site with new information.
Plus, local reaction to attacks and hate against Asian Americans, including parents angry about what happened to their kids.
People are accusing her of carrying the coronavirus. Are you kidding me?
And a look back at a unique part of history on Penn State's campus, almost 80 years later. The Center County Report starts now. Good afternoon. I'm Jillian Silbiger.
And I'm Natalie Graham. Thanks for joining us for the Center County Report. Our top story, trouble for Pennsylvania in the fight against COVID. The state just hit a new milestone and is now getting disappointing news about a new vaccine shipment. Reporter Milena Brown is live at one vaccine site with more. Milena?
Thank you, Natalie. I'm here in a very windy University Park outside the Ncaa Medical Center, where qualified people have been able to get a vaccine for weeks now. But there may be new signs that Pennsylvania's vaccine rollout and COVID cases may have hit some new roadblocks.
Pennsylvania's battle against COVID-19 just got a lot tougher. The state passed 1 million confirmed cases this week, and daily infections have jumped more than 10% in 2 weeks, with hospitalizations increasing too. The Department of Health says that here in Center County, 21 people were hospitalized with COVID as of yesterday, the most in weeks. Now, state officials say they've learned Pennsylvania won't get nearly as many fresh doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as the federal government projected. The state says it'll get about 66,000 doses next week, not 200,000. That's bad news for a state already struggling with its vaccine rollout. Pennsylvania ranks 46 among states in percentage of fully vaccinated people over 65.
Stand by. Center Volunteers in Medicine currently runs a clinic over at the Bryce Jordan Center. They told us last week they thought by now the state would have provided some more assistance from either the National Guard or FEMA, but that hasn't happened. I'm Milena Brown reporting at the Mount Nittany Medical Center. Now back to you at the anchor desk.
Thanks, Milena. Even as cases rise, Pennsylvania has eased its mask mandate for people who are fully vaccinated. The state says vaccinated people can gather with others who have their shots without masks or social distancing, and they can also gather with those from a single household who are considered low risk. Also, vaccinated people no longer have to quarantine if they're exposed, as long as they don't have symptoms.
Penn State has issued advisories for students in 7 residence halls to get tested for COVID after a rise in positive cases over the past week. Those advisories are for Beaver, Geary, Packer, Hastings, Stone, Earl, and Martin halls, along with Beaver Hill Apartments in downtown State College. The university reported 269 new positive tests over the past week, with new numbers due out today.
In other news, State College police are still searching for the driver in a hit and run this week. The crash happened Monday night at Atherton Street and West College Avenue. Police say the car hit and injured a 28-year-old borough resident who had to be taken to the hospital. Police released this surveillance photo of the suspect's car. It's described as a silver Dodge SUV, and it may have damage from the crash. A local contractor has pleaded guilty to charges his company cheated workers out of pay and benefits for jobs over 5 years. Scott Good owns Goodco Mechanical in State College. The State Attorney General's office says Good pleaded guilty to charges of underpaying workers and will have to pay back more than $64,000 as part of a deal. He'll be sentenced next month.
The suspect in the shooting spree that left 10 dead in Colorado remains in jail today as he awaits his next court hearing. Ahmed Alisa made his first court appearance yesterday in Boulder. He's accused of killing 10 people at a grocery store this week. His lawyer wants a judge to delay the next hearing because she says the defense needs to assess his mental illness. And after last week's shootings in Atlanta that killed 8 people, most of them Asian women, Penn State student organizers and local members of the Asian community are mobilizing against anti-Asian hate. Sebastian Kraft reports.
Center County's Asian American community is still processing the deadly shooting last week at 3 Atlanta area spas. One organization, the Queer and Trans People of Color at Penn State, hosted a candlelight vigil and open mic earlier this week to honor the victims and raise awareness locally.
More than anything, I want this to be a healing space for the Asian community here.
According to a study from California State University, anti-Asian hate crimes increased by 149%, from 49 in 2019 to 122 in 2020.
These recent attacks on a lot of the elderly in the Asian American communities and the Asian communities in general have been a huge, have made a huge impact in terms of just stress and emotional levels for a lot of Asian students.
Bellefonte resident Richard Nupp Jr. has 2 adopted daughters from China. He released a TikTok video last year voicing his anger over behavior linked to COVID-19.
People are accusing her of carrying the coronavirus. Are you kidding me?
During the vigil and open mic here at Old Main, students revisited Penn State's "We Are" slogan, chanting "We are all we've got," and suggesting that the slogan might not be as universal as it seems.
That's kind of like another facet of this idea of "we are" and the lack of inclusion, where, if people aren't knowledgeable or informed on these issues and they don't seek it out, it's hard for the Asian community to then, have to reach out about these issues.
Jeff Knapp's daughters are also adopted from China.
For me, I think the main feeling is kind of betrayal. I feel like, wow, it's heartbreaking.
In University Park, I'm Sebastian Kraft for the Center County Report.
The Atlanta spa shooting victims ranged in ages from 33 to 74 years old. 21-year-old suspect is charged in the case.
One of State College's multiplex movie theaters is ready to reopen for the first time in 3 months. The UEC College 9 Theater on Carnegie Drive will be open for limited hours starting today. It will be open on weekends and Tuesdays. Social distancing and masks are required. When Pennsylvania's new restrictions go into effect next weekend, the theater will have 75% capacity.
Easter is also next weekend, and that means a demand for chocolate bunnies and other candy is up. Reporter Jake Starr visited one local company to see how it's getting ready, even in a pandemic year.
The past year has been tough for many businesses, and Gardner's Candies is no exception. The company, founded in Tyrone way back in 1897, faced pandemic challenges in 2020. But the company says it's rebounding, and now, with Easter just over a week away, business is booming.
We are killing it this year. We're seeing a lot more orders.
Behind the scenes, the increase in orders has led to more work, and Gardner's has welcomed more employees to help with the rising demand. They're working hard to keep up with increasing demand.
It's definitely been crazy, but everybody's been doing such a good job trying to keep up with everything.
Every year, Gardner's looks to introduce new treats for the holiday. This year, one of them is a cocoa bomb, with chocolate on the outside and a peep in the middle. But it's the classics that keep many customers coming back.
With Gardner's, it's all about the peanut butter melt-away. So we have peanut butter melt-away bunnies, peanut butter melt-away eggs.
Once these goodies are manufactured here in Tyrone, in this 57,000 square foot building, they're loaded up and shipped off to stores and customers. Among the biggest holidays, Valentine's Day, Gardner's produces 100,000 pounds of chocolate for Valentine's. Next weekend is another huge demand period. Here in Tyrone, Gardner's Candies is upping its production in anticipation of the Easter holiday and distributing it to its 9 stores, such as this location here in State College. Gardner's has retail stores across the state, including Huntington, Altoona, and other pop-up shops. In Tyrone, I'm Jake Starr for the Center County Report.
You can visit Gardner's State College location on North Atherton Street.
We're getting some gusty winds across central PA today. Ryan will tell us when it'll calm down, and he has the weekend forecast next. Also coming up, some old school music is making a comeback during the pandemic, and why a trailer park became so important to Penn State students after the Second World War. The Grange Fair is a Center County summer staple, bringing people from across the country to Center Hall for a week of camping and entertainment. COVID canceled last year's fair, but organizers say it'll be back in person this year. The grandstand entertainment lineup has also been announced, which includes American Idol country artist Gabby Barrett. The fair opens August 20th. It's been happening for 147 years.
There's another piece of local history you might not know about. In 1944, Penn State began preparing for a flood of admissions from servicemen returning from World War II, and they needed somewhere to house them. One family remembers it very well. Matt Saporsky has the story.
This is Penn State's campus today, and this is Penn State's campus 75 years ago. It's the university that World War II veteran Bill Files and his wife Reba would learn to love. As World War II ended, Penn State and other universities scrambled to find enough room for veteran students and their families.
Today, where I'm standing are the South Hall dorms on Penn State's campus. But in 1946, this exact location was a village that many Penn State students who were veterans of the Second World War called home.
Penn State had acquired surplus buildings from the federal government, originally meant for emergencies during the war. They were turned into trailers called Windcrest Village to house young families like the Files.
All the people in that village were married veterans and most had children. We had one, some people had two. It was very nice for us at that stage in our lives.
With their 7-month-old daughter, Marilyn, Bill and Reba began their tough journey of balancing the workload of college while raising their family in a less than ideal living environment. They paid $30 a month for a trailer with no running water or bathroom. They shared a communal bathroom with other residents. But those conditions didn't deter the Files from staying in the State College area after graduation.
The interesting thing is many of the people that my dad and mom knew started major businesses in State College because it was all just growing up at that time.
And for more than 70 years, the Files family has had a first-hand opportunity to watch their town grow and flourish. In University Park, I'm Matt Saporsky for the Center County Report.
Today, more than 5,600 students at Penn State's campuses have direct military ties as either active duty service members, reservists, veterans, or military dependents.
A popular trend from the 70s and 80s is back, and some say it's even helping improve their mental health during the pandemic. Reporter Andy Kuros explains.
Something old is now coming back into style. Vinyl records. Vinyl sales reached 27.5 million units sold in 2020, a 46% increase compared to 2019. Penn State grad student Ncaa Davis, who just started her collection 2 months ago, now has over 60 records and uses the music to de-stress.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps with mental health and it helps get through the pandemic, especially when you're isolated. And you go through the whole breadth of human emotion just in one record. So I think that music can really help people's mood.
Josh Furco owns Stack of Tracks Records in downtown State College.
Music, and it's a healing thing for sure. Very important in my life, and I'm sure in other people's lives. I'll put music on, and like I said, at the end of the night, and I'll just feel like the world's okay. You know, for right now, the world's okay.
The popularity of vinyl is music to Furco's ears.
I really give credit to the consumer. I think people are wising up and realizing that records sound the best out of any recorded form. Records are it.
Nearly half of current record buyers are younger than 25.
Ultimately, it's good for stores. I mean, we're excited to have a whole new customer base.
A whole new generation of music lovers with an old school way of listening. I'm Andy Kuros for the Center County Report.
Josh Furco has been selling records in State College for nearly 40 years. Now to Ryan with the weather.
March has been acting like a lion. We had thunderstorms at 4 a.m. and we even had some very strong wind gusts. Wind advisory, that's going to be till 6 p.m. today. So if you're outside, make sure you really take that into account. But Saturday, that's going to be a really nice day. That's going to be my pick of the week. Cool start to next week because of a storm system on Sunday. Quick rebound in temperatures, but then another storm system with some wet snowflakes as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, that's right. Old man winter, it's not quite over yet. But as we take a look at Beaver Stadium right now, partly cloudy skies. We had our high temperature of 66 degrees earlier, 64 degrees right now. Look at those winds. West sustained at 35 miles per hour. We had a wind gust of 58 miles per hour earlier. So a couple of thousand power outages throughout Center County. So that's just something to keep in mind. Look at those temperatures. 80 degrees in Harrisburg, 57 degrees in Johnstown. And there's a really big temperature range throughout the state. 42 degrees in Erie and 76 degrees in Harrisburg. So we have a cold front that's coming through. That's going to be the big story with our departing storm system. And with that departing storm system, Saturday, it's going to be a really nice day, but Sunday, our next chance of rain. That's going to be throughout most of the afternoon, but it's going to clear out throughout the evening hours. Monday, Tuesday should be fairly nice, but as we head into Wednesday, that's where we have our next storm system with some wet snowflakes. So I don't think a lot of you want to hear that, but there is that possibility. So really, we got to take an eye on that. But as we head into tonight, 43 degrees with winds dying down and clearing skies. So should be a nice night to go out and about. Pick of my week, 66 degrees on tomorrow. So that should be a really nice day. But as we take a look at the 7-day, 66 degrees on Saturday, some of those wet snowflakes Wednesday and Thursday. But now we'll take it over to Casey Cummer with sports.
The NCAA fencing championships are underway at the Bryce Jordan Center. Penn State has 12 competitors in the tournament. That's next in sports. Also coming up, Center County's successful wrestling postseason run comes to a close. We'll check in with the last remaining school in the state tournament. I'm Casey Cummer with sports. Penn State is hosting the NCAA fencing national championships this weekend at the BJC. The Nittany Lions have 6 men and 6 women qualified for events, which is the maximum number of fencers allowed in the tournament. While the majority are NCAA championship rookies, this will be senior Zara Moss's 4th time qualifying. There are only 2 tournament veterans on the men's side, but this year will be men's foil squad senior Sebastiano Biasio's 4th time qualifying. Penn State fencing has never lost the NCAAs at home. Penn State football wrapped up another successful pro day yesterday with 8 former Nittany Lions trying to impress NFL scouts. 31 NFL team scouts attended, along with head coaches Mike Tomlin and Joe Judge. Micah Parsons turned in a stunning 4.39 40 time, and Jason Oweh's 4.36 turned some heads too. Steve Gonzalez impressed at 32 reps on the bench press. Pat Fryermuth, Oweh, Shaka Toney, Michael Mennett, Will Fries, and Parsons are Penn State's top NFL prospects. Parsons isn't shy about his talent.
I just feel like I'm the most versatile player in this class, so I could play middle linebacker, I could play outside, and I could pass rush. I don't think there's no place I couldn't play in a linebacker spot.
The Big Ten has revised its sports attendance policy for the rest of this season, saying schools should follow local restrictions and health guidelines. The policy update is effective immediately and involves regular season competitions and spring football events. Penn State so far plans to only allow freshmen into Beaver Stadium for the final spring practice. Center County's high school wrestling postseason success came to an end this week, but this year has proven to be one for the history books at Bellefonte High School.
The Bellefonte Red Raiders took on the Williamsport Millionaires Wednesday night. While Bellefonte led most of the match, pins in the final weight classes ended with a devastating 1-point loss, 33-32, ending the Raiders' postseason run. This week's quarterfinal dual match comes after Bellefonte had 3 individual state qualifiers in Hershey a few weeks back. It's these state qualifiers that helped propel Bellefonte to a close score during the quarterfinals. Seniors and 2021 state medalists Ethan Richner and Ethan Rossman finished their final high school match with individual victories and pride in their team.
It was really good, you know. It was a long season, and some of the guys were like, oh, but for the most part, you know, we wrestled hard and, you know, we wrestled through everything.
The effort was there all year.
We do it together. We work really hard and we work really well together, and that really helps keep the morale of everything up, you know.
And the upperclassmen have paved the way for those to come.
Classmen got a little bit of a taste of what postseason success is, and so hopefully they get motivated in the off season and, you know, start training, lifting weights, and preparing for next season. So we're certainly going to miss our seniors, but they set a nice blueprint for underclassmen to follow.
This was Bellefont's best postseason run in 14 years. With one of the best wrestlers in the state returning, the team is already on track for success next season.
Bellefonte was the last remaining Center County team in the state bracket. Last night, the number 9 ranked Nittany Lions women's soccer team beat Iowa 1-0 in Iowa City. The team is now 7-1-1 on the season and set to play Nebraska on Sunday. They'll play one last home game next Friday before the start of the Big Ten tournament. And Penn State baseball returns to the diamond today against Michigan. The Nittany Lions dropped 2 of 3 last weekend to Maryland. Penn State lost Game 1 19-10 and Game 3 7-1. The Lions won Game 2 on a walk-off single by Josh Spiegel. This weekend series against Michigan begins this afternoon and continues tomorrow with a doubleheader. You can listen to all 3 games on Penn State Comm Radio. That's all for sports. Now back to you at the anchor desk.
Thanks, Casey. Coming up next, a Penn State favorite has opened its doors for the first time in months. Find out how it's celebrating a new start after the break.
We have sweet news for State College. Penn State's Berkey Creamery has reopened its campus retail store for the first time since last spring. The historic ice cream shop is again selling its popular hand-dipped ice cream after only selling pre-packaged items because of the pandemic. Management says it's added extra staff for cleaning and other safety precautions.
Just started scooping yesterday, which is Monday, and we have been waiting for that for a while now, since last year, and it's finally happened, and we're excited to scoop for everybody.
The creamery is open 7 days a week from noon until 6 p.m.
Well, looks like I know what I'm doing this weekend. That's all for today's newscast. You can find more of our stories on our website, centercountyreport.com. And you can follow us anytime for breaking news on our Twitter feed. That's at Center County REP, or on our Facebook page. We also have a CCR Instagram. Join us for our next newscast next Friday. Have a great weekend.
We hope you enjoyed watching the video. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you did.
For the rest of our newscasts and featured stories, click here.
And for sports, click here. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.